Well, that was something new and different. Welcome. Friends and neighbors, hope you guys are having a good night. It's snowing here. I think Dan's more comfortable than I am. How are you, Dan?
Well, it's snowing here too. Yeah, it just started snowing about maybe an hour and a half ago. So yeah, it's getting a little crazy over here too. But I'm enjoying the fact that I'm having the same conditions that the Chiefs just dominated the Broncos in. So that's pretty cool,
right? I mean, we thought it was going to be a win. We didn't see this coming.
No.
So, and folks, if you missed our pregame show, you can check that out if you want. I see a lot of friendly faces in here, so welcome you all. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like and the sub and the bell notification now, so you get that out of the way. That said, super chats are open. If you guys want to support us, feel free. If not, leave comments in here. You know, you can check out the RGR store as well if you want to buy some gear or whatever. That always helps us too. No update tonight on memberships or anything like that. We'll get that tomorrow on the Q&A that we do at this time. I'm sorry, not at this time. An hour earlier at 7 p.m. Central. Every Monday night we do the Q&A. So for all you guys that are not regulars, and I see a ton of you in here, welcome. Come back tomorrow and we'll go over everything we can think of. I want to start. What's your biggest takeaway?
Well, I think that so my biggest thing was the offense did struggle once again, but Andy Reid let them figure it out. When they got that ball back and they went to score that Hill touchdown, they were throwing the football. They were trying to figure out some things offensively, some timing. Maybe it was the snow throwing it off a little bit. Granted, last year they played well in the snow, but I like the fact that I saw Andy Reid not care so much about the fact they were up a bunch and still wanted to throw the football to try to figure out some of these issues that were going on in the offense. The running game was back and forth. You had some good plays. You had some bad plays. I still think this is the offensive line they should be playing going forward. And let's talk about the two running backs in the backfield play just because it's going to be fun because they're going to have to be able to just like split them out wherever they want to. And granted, they didn't get a play out of it, but just being able to see it in this one game is fun because we know that Andy's going to use it again.
You are absolutely right. And, I mean, folks, you'll see that later in the week, too. I'm sure one of us will be putting it in the film reviews. and again, if you're new to the channel, you don't know us yet, or you just recently joined because we've gotten a lot of new followers. We do film, usually comes out Tuesdays. Maybe sometimes we might get lucky on a Monday night. But later in the week, you'll see film reviews from both of us usually. So want to shout out Stevie Keys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
First super chatter of the night. That always helps us. And Stevie's a regular around here. Want to hit Paul, I hope I said that right. So congratulations. What is it? Is it super early 5 a.m. in Europe? I don't even know, but welcome from across the water. We do get some of the guys from Arrowhead's Broad show up. So nice to have somebody from across there. Hope you guys are doing well in Europe and have a nice Monday. Since you're getting an early jump on us, Gary, Aaron, all the regulars, Stack Bundles is even here. It's nice to see you guys. Again, we'll go through a couple of things. If you're a super chatter, we'll shout you out tonight. We'll do the Q&A tomorrow, though. So just remember that. We're not going to do a ton here. Nice to see you, Suzuki. I'm glad you made it. Nipper, thank you very much. Brother Rick, I appreciate that. I always think, wrestling when Rick I'm glad to see it, Rick. Info, thank you. Dylan, as always, thank you very much. And since you asked a question and gave us a nice tip, I appreciate it. How badly? I don't think necessarily, and it hurts me to say this, I don't think it was missing Anthony that caused anything. I would have liked to have seen it. Quite frankly, I'm certainly okay with every target that went to Nick Keizer for the rest of the season going to Anthony. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, let's just say that I feel very strongly that Nick Keizer should be demoted to the inactives list. And regardless of Ricky Seals-Jones blocking issues, that's just figure it out. Deion Yelder's big body. We've seen Nick Keizer to this point, and I just don't think he's going to bring much. The sausage is definitely going to be used a little bit more. But, yeah, this wasn't so much a miss of either Mitch or the sausage. I mean, you're always going to miss a guy of Mitch Swartz's caliber as a right tackle. But not at full strength, we've seen him struggle this season. So getting him healthy is the most important thing. And Remmers isn't terrible at right tackle. He's got some more, I guess, mental lapses that I saw throughout the game. But so far, he's holding up decently. And that's going to be probably I assume we're going to see him again next week. So I'm going to go ahead and just say it's more about execution again. As 2 weeks, 3 weeks in a row, we talked about execution.
I'm with you there. And, folks, I did a video last week about the fact that Njoku had supposedly demanded a trade, and the whole thing was just a theory. He's since said that he didn't say that he doesn't want to get traded from Cleveland. But if there's any grain of truth, because the back and forth, there's always something there. This is why a second tight end is valuable, because of some of these things. And Deion Yelder, step on up, because you have to be next. And I want to see from him. I have faith in him that he can continue his progression. I just don't know what that impact looks like. Couple more people. I didn't realize Danilo was in here. I hope you guys stop. Give him a hand for his pregame tailgate. The Kingdom Corner is what Danilo's doing for us. Aaron Morrow is in here, our fearless mod, as always. Nice to see you, buddy. We're just going to keep it rolling as the channel grows. I really appreciate that. Obviously, we're going to go over our thoughts tonight, but we're not going to go super long. This isn't the hour long, you guys, so don't worry. We're going to tie up your family time on a Sunday night, but there is a lot to be there. Adam Bono, thank you very much. I love seeing the Canadian. It gets me every time. Cool. And again, we don't know anything. They even after he played a snap and got targeted last week, we didn't hear a peep about what's going on with Ricky Seals. So I don't know. It is kind of weird. And so until we know, we just won't know. But we will let you as soon as we do. So whether they go after another tight end or not, the Schwartz thing is important. And I don't want to overlook that. He was very adamant about tweeting today and Instagram about not being there. If you're a guy who's played that long, that many snaps, that many games, and then you miss, I can understand that. Honestly, I was refreshed to see it, because it gives you a little bit of a perspective about how they feel on the field, particularly his comment about Clyde's drop. And nothing against Clyde, but it was a drop in the end zone. And that tells you just how hard that was. I thought he could have taken just a touch off of it, but he was trying to thread it through. So at the end of the day, I think it was more weather than anything.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you see, a pass go to a running back who's got really good hands and he drops it. But again, like, people worrying about Harrison Butker's extra point misses, like, some of these things don't bother me so much. And maybe I'm reckless. You know what? If I'm reckless, I'll live with it. And if these are some of the takes that our count is, reckless takes, whatever, I don't care. Like, people are worried about 5 points from Harrison Butker that you get mixed. If you're losing games or games are close because of an extra point, you have more issues going on than a kicker mixing an extra point, in my opinion. So, at the end of the day, I would love for Clyde to catch that football. But again, he is a rookie. He's probably going to be in that situation again. Now he's going to know, it's still an adjustment process going from a guy like Joe Burrow, who doesn't exactly have a cannon, to a Patrick Mahomes. So there's a little bit of give and take there from my angle.
Yeah, a lot, honestly. And you have a very good point. And now there's enough to go around. You need to make the most of your touches. And again, I'm writing this game completely off because of the weather. If you guys didn't see me on social media beforehand, it was like 11 at my place. It was 7 or below down in the city. Which is, I know it sounds strange that I'm way up higher. I'm almost double that elevation, but it was warmer. We get inversions here against the mountains, so you can see that flip. It's not that extraordinary. But so it was a difficult situation to play in. And I can understand, Jeff, folks. Look for more from Jeff. If you haven't followed Jeff yet, he helps me out with Rogue Analytics. He is the man that does all the hard work. So I appreciate that. And I can get it. And this is not to bash Kaiser. This is just, again, that there are some limitations at times, and you have to find that. One limitation that bothered me, and I know that you looked at it, but your takeaway from the coordination, not just the communication amongst the linemen, but Patrick and the linemen.
Yeah, it was interesting. These blitzes that Vic Fangio brought out today, Patrick didn't recognize them at times, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they were bringing linebackers up to the line, dropping them out, so he didn't know who was coming and who was going. And when you're in empty protections, on those plays, they were in empty protections, you have to protect the inside first. So you have, Eric Fisher coming inside because you have a blitzing linebacker and no slide help from anybody because they assume there's also a blitzing linebacker on the right guard. He ends up dropping back. And so now you have an issue when no one else is back to block, like a running back or a tight end to come chip. There's going to be a free rusher. And these guys, we talked about Reed. He's fast. Chubb's got pretty quick feet too. They're going to get to you quick. And then when you don't have the quick options in these, they didn't communicate properly in terms of getting your head around quickly. You saw Le'Veon Bell not get his head around just a second too late. And that was the first blitz. And again, you've got, Nick Keiser on a defensive end and later in the game, and you have, Remmers blocking down because he thinks the blitz is coming. So this is just, I bring it more to Vic Fangio than anything. He did a really good job of using their protections against them and getting matchups that he wanted.
I agree with you. I mean, there were times that he got overloads over on one side and left Chubb alone. And you're going to hear people, especially on social Twitter, some guys who know more than me, a lot more, guys who have played in this system have said, oh, that's not on the quarterback, it's on that. Okay, I can't play the blame game against somebody who knows it like Jeff Schwartz. But I will say this. As an outside analyst, it still makes me cringe because I don't want Patrick in the position to get hit by somebody who's good like Chubb. So I'd rather see them check out of that altogether and fix this situation. If that means, motioning someone else in to attach to the end of the line or whatever you have to do to make that adjustment, I don't want Patrick getting hit. That's the thing. So that said, that's my point. And Robin Lim, I'm sorry, we kind of overspoke before you made your comment. But yeah, Dan's not too concerned. It's a little confounding for me. I'm of the opinion if you can hit a 58, you should be nailing these in your sleep. But it's all a process, and he's still a young kid. I'm not worried about Booker either. So
yeah, I think he will get there right here than anything. He's kicking regular field goals no problem. So it's something he's going to figure out, and I'm really not that worried about it.
But thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. It goes a long way for all of us. Natalie, glad you're here. Not a lot of ladies on tonight, so welcome. Like to point you guys out when you are. Danilo, yep. Well, we'll have to talk trades later, Danilo. Dang. Thunder Dan coming up with ideas. I'm not ready to go there yet. Pyro, thank you very much. Why doesn't he start? It's about being assignment sound. It is, I have to say, and I'm glad that you brought this up, Pyro, because we saw him come in early. I think technically you could call him a starter. I can't remember. I wanted to say they were in the nickel on that first play, but I'm not 100% of that. I'll have to go watch the rewatch. And I gotta tell you guys, this was tough. So I lost power this morning. There's snow. I lost my satellite. It fried something in the satellite system. So I had to go find my old HD antenna and hook it up to the TV. And I got to watch it live, period. No replays, no pause button, no pressing back on the DVR like I usually do. So I'm pulling my hair out until I'm going to try to stream the quick take as soon as it's up, and we'll go from there. But that's the thing that stood out to me early is that Willie Gay was all over the place. And though I couldn't back it up and rewatch it, did I miss something, or did you feel like, hey, he's done enough to be out there full time?
Yeah, so I think that from what I saw in the game, that it had to have been base. He was not on the field if it was nickel, unless they just decided to throw something weird at them in the first play of the game. I saw the regular Daniel Sorensen and Ben Neiman out there as their nickel dimebackers, and so that was just still upsetting. And yeah, I mean, Gay looks really good in coverage. He may not be 100% there defensively in terms of knowing his assignment, especially with run fits, but he can cover. And the dude just has effortless strength. We saw that tackle where he just threw the tight end off after the end of it. He's got the speed, the strength, everything to make plays. And he made plays in this game. I mean, he didn't play a lot, I would say, probably from just what I know, maybe 15, 20% of the snaps, maybe.
That's my guess as well. We'll have the snap counts tomorrow, folks.
Yeah. So I'm pretty encouraged what I've seen, because he was barely used against the Bills, and then he comes in, and now we're seeing him used a little more in coverage. I was a little upset they didn't get him more in nickel at the end of the game when you're up 25 points. That was a little confusing to me. So especially when a team's going to throw the football, but that's just me. I like Willie Gay, what he brings, and I think that he's going to end up being a guy that plays closer to 50% of the snaps by the end of the season.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I would have liked to have seen that too. I wonder if it's still not much of a snap count. I guess we're just going to have to find out. But I will say this. You guys remember when we first talked about him, when he was drafted, and clearly after they started camp, we said about mid-season is when you're going to start to see him really do something. He's had a couple of sparks here and there, but we're getting there. 7 games in. Pretty soon here, he's going to be on the field more and more. He should be, and I think he earned it at this point. I think today was a big step forward making plays, not just being in position to make plays. That's what it comes down to me. Want to make sure we're getting everybody here. Chris, in real life, you want to pause, Dan?
Just my dog just stepped on one of my daughter's toys and it just starts going off. I'm sorry, guys.
I know that feeling. Oh man, Chris, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. And you bring up another really good point that is on my list to cover. And folks, we will go through all the notes here, but these are the big ones. I thought it was really good to see them make a concerted effort to get Mecole Hardman going. I thought Mecole did a couple of good things. And then I think it kind of fizzled. And I'm trying to decide myself, and I need your input on this. Is it because of the weather and the game situation, or is it something else?
You know, it's weird. It feels like they want to get him involved early in the game, but later in clutch situations, and two, when they're like their offense isn't flowing very well, they go to more Pringle. And maybe that's because they're trying to force the ball to Hardman. That, the first drive that came out, the first couple drives, they tried to get him on an end around, and then he made a really good catch, on not much separation. Perfect throw from Mahomes, one-handed grab. So it's confusing. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but it feels like they're trying to figure out what Hardman is able to bring to this offense when he's not schemed in. And from the looks of it, I can't tell that he adds much when it's just him trying to win and be a guy who's beating, man coverage or getting into zones. I feel like he's not there yet. And I think that they feel the same way. And that's why we didn't see him make mostly any plays the rest of the game. Now, that may also be because the offense itself was just kind of all over the place. They couldn't get their footing. They would have a really good play and then a sack, and just, it was just a weird weather game, and things were not going exactly to plan. So it's going to be interesting going forward without Sammy Watkins, because they got to find someone to replicate what he brings to the table, and they haven't found that yet.
Well, two things about these two guys that stand out to me is I agree with you for the most part, but one play that I really want to go back and see on all 22 is because the over route, the big gainer, it looked like he did either identify where to run through or get some kind of coverage that he was able to adjust to. I thought that was not only a good route, but I think the pre-snap was probably pretty solid too.
So I watched the replay of that, and Ojemudia is playing on his outside shoulder. He's running an older route. There's no one in front of him. So he's got nothing to do but play speed, which is, that's his strength. If he's got a corner on his outside shoulder and there's no one else anywhere in front of his route, he's going to get open just because he can run faster than everybody. So again, that's probably one, Mahomes realizing where he is. Also, Hardman knows that he's got a corner, and on his outside shoulder, he's going to be able to run his route no problem. So again, maybe they adjusted the route pre-snap. Who knows? Now,
that said, that's all perfectly well and good, but I want to see more Pringle.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, the punt return was great, obviously resulted in points. That's huge. But it also takes some of the load off Mecole. I'm sorry, what?
Kick return.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm just letting you know.
Special teams did something special.
Exactly.
They're lucky I remember it most of the time, to tell you the truth. So let's chalk one up for Trace, okay? But no, the big thing is I think it takes a little bit of load off of Mecole. It can help him go forward as well, right? But I think it also intrigues the staff that he can make big plays at big times. Hopefully this gets him offensive reps as well.
I'm really hoping so, man. He's not only was he like finding holes, the Broncos didn't help themselves out. They had terrible coverage. There was no one playing contain. Like, they just decided to all shove down and let him get to the outside and just run for a touchdown. But still, you see a guy who's not getting much time out there, and then he goes for a kick return, his first one all season, and he makes a big play. He's got wheels too. The guy pulled away from everybody.
Yeah, I know.
He's got some wheels.
And I have to say, just as a side note, Marcus Kemp almost caught him. I was shocked by that. I thought Marcus was quick. I didn't think he was that quick.
And he almost scored that touchdown at the end of the game too. I would have been so hyped.
I mean, that brings us to the standout on defense. And if you guys you can hear the Locked On Chiefs podcast here in a little bit. It should be live by now. But we give out game balls at the end of those. And for the first time in history, I'll give you a little hint. I gave it to a guy wearing 49. And I'm a little bit shocked at myself because we've gone over a lot of the things that are problematic about Dan Sorensen's play. But tonight they used him right.
Yep.
The big interception came on an instinctual play, like we've said, where he's capable of doing, and it came from 8 yards deep, right where he should have been.
Yep.
And that's really the key to it. So overall, how did you feel he played beyond just that big play?
He was flying everywhere. They used him in the box, just outside the box. He was not playing deep. So he's able to use his instincts because he does have good instincts. We've seen it multiple times. He comes up on picks against, Derek Carr underneath routes on tight ends. And he did it again here where he's able to read and process. Granted, Drew Lock stared him down the whole time. Like he just, 100% I'm throwing it to here. And so Sorensen's like, okay, I'll take it back for a touchdown. So using him instinctually in, like I said, those 10 yards from the line of scrimmage are where he's able to perform. And you allow him to make just heads up instinctual plays instead of having to think too much. When he thinks too much, that's when you're going to find issues with his game. But if he's just out there running all over the field making plays, that's how you're going to get the best out of him. And that's what we saw today.
Yeah, and I want to see him light him up. Let him run. He's 30 years old. You're not going to have Dan Sorensen a whole lot longer.
They love it too. So burn out. It's better to burn out than fade away, right? Isn't that the name of that song? So more power to him. And Scott, I know you just brought this up. I want to hit you too. But before that, folks, Aaron Morrow is our fearless, undeniable mod, and he's got a very good point. Come back tomorrow, and we'll answer all your questions. But tonight I want to point out the super chatters who are helping out and supporting the channel. Scott Rowland, thank you very much. And you obviously agree with us because I won't say that I'm going to apologize to him, but I recognize when he makes positive plays as much. And I appreciate you being along the ride and seeing that as well. The evolution of a team is always a combination of players making adjustments to their games individually that come together as a whole. And good for Dan, because if nothing else, if Dan doesn't make another play the rest of his career, he will go down in history as one of the best survivors in staying on a roster this long and playing at a championship level team and contributing to it from time to time. Yeah,
and Dan agrees with me.
It's just weird, man. He's a character. Like you don't see guys like this continuously not only make rosters but start. He's essentially a starter in this defense because he's not an elite at anything player. He's just a guy that if you get him in a good, right situation, he will flourish. And that's exactly what they did tonight. And hopefully they realize, stop playing him deep. Don't put him back there. Let him be an underneath hybrid safety linebacker dude and just fly around the field. That's all he's got to do.
Yeah. I mean, especially with Juan playing the way he is, he came up well tonight.
Yep.
He had the back end handled. I mean,
he is coming back.
People gave me a lot of grief when I had him at the top of my safety chart in his draft class. And every time I talk to one of them, I throw it back in their face like I should, because he's rounding into the player that he can be. And I love that. But we have to get down to the real question from Dylan. Thank you for the super chat, Dylan, and I appreciate that. And he is okay. Now, you guys can make your own comments about that. I'm going to try to lay off because
you know what? I refuse to be bullied about drinking a hard lemonade. I refuse.
Okay,
because it's delicious.
I'm going to let you watch me pour this one because this is a different beast. And I do want to shout out my friends over at Living the Dream here in Colorado. This is a Scotch ale. And they just won a GABF gold medal. So congratulations to Living the Dream. And if you guys are into draft beer, craft beer of all kinds, come over and check out RGR Craft as well. Me and my partner, Mike Munhall, go all kinds of crazy on beer. Mike Hall, not Munhall, we talked about this a little bit. I'm not sure if you were here for this piece, Mike, but it was a combination of their communication, but we have to give a significant amount of credit to Vic Fangio too. Like we said last week, I don't know if he keeps this job, but Vic Fangio is a good defensive coordinator, and he identified some things that he could throw at the Chiefs front, especially knowing that they had 3 guys that are kind of playing in replacement of other players, and it worked.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest thing, in my opinion, is just the fact that you've got 3 replacement players, and he took full advantage of it with the blitzes and the things that he was getting look-wise to find advantages for his defense. So again, he's done great work with the guys he's got. They've got injuries everywhere, and yet they're still playing really well. And the score doesn't look like it, but the offense did have some issues with that defense.
Yeah, and hey, more power to them. This is an ongoing thing, and everybody's got a little bit of wrinkle that they can add on top of what they see other teams do that has worked. So more power to them. Thank you, Mike, again for the super chat, and for all of you super chatters. And Danilo, I understand. If I had a spirit animal, I don't know. It'd probably be a Yeti. I'll have to figure that out. Yeah, right. Dave, thank you. We appreciate it. And I know you'll ask a question tomorrow night. I will make sure to get that handled for you. A couple others here. I want to make sure that I get everybody. Tactics is back. Thank you, sir. Very much, and back at you. It's a cold day, and there's more weather coming your way, so be careful out there. It was really, really icy here this morning, so make sure it's not too treacherous for you guys. At the end of the day, we got a couple minutes left. Your big thing going into next week, a couple things we didn't finish. The balance with Bell and CEH, Wharton's play, anything else stand out to you?
Yeah, I think that next week we may see a bit of an imbalance in the play of Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell. I fully expect Le'Veon Bell to nearly start that game. That seems to be something that I would imagine he and Andy Reid have discussed with at length at some point. And let's be real. The Chiefs could probably win this game with most of their secondary members playing this game. The Jets, they're really, really, really bad. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs just, took everyone out after the first half. But again, this is an NFL team, so we just watched the Jets cover against the Bills. So, I mean,
right.
Crazier things have happened. So, again, Tershawn Wharton, we talk about him just about every week now. He's continually making plays. He's getting not only, consistently good, he's getting better every week. He's making splash plays in the backfield. So this is like, I mean, I've given them so much credit for his, for them finding him, and I just have to continue to do that because this guy is an absolute athlete, and he's just going to be really, really good for this team. And the fact that they've got so many injuries, at defensive end, it helps having him, a guy who can probably play both.
Yeah, exactly. The interoperability. And I know they said pregame that they were going to play Chris Jones at end some. It didn't jump off the film to me, so I really want to see where his snap alignments are. I'll have that for you guys later in the week after we get all the film reviews from everybody who actually does that stuff, because I can't watch this and track every player everywhere. So big takeaway for me is, like you said, I think Bell should get the bulk of the loads. He wants his thing and whatever, and that's perfectly fine. Anything that keeps the pressure off of Patrick, keeps Patrick vertical and not taking hits, because everybody can complain about this. And I got a ton of complaints this week about how, why are you talking up the run game? It's stupid not to let Patrick, your best player, have the ball. And just remember this, you guys, whether you lean that way or you've heard that argument or whatever, or you want to have that argument with someone tomorrow at work, every hit that Patrick doesn't take now is one more he can take in the playoffs, and that's what matters.
Yeah, and I think that this team, that's what this is all about. They've talked up the running back tour. They have an extremely NFL easy schedule going forward. 3 teams that have a winning record the rest of the way. Yeah. You want to preserve him for the Steelers, for the Ravens again. Granted, they're going to have to do something different than last time. The Titans, these guys are all physical teams, and you play these guys in January, in December. You need to be able to take some hits, and if Pat's continuing to get hit in games that don't matter that much against really bad teams, that's not what you need. You need to protect him at all costs, and whether it's finding ways to get the ball out quicker, to scheme up some better protection, running backs, tight ends, whatever it is, they have to start doing it. And Andy, with these empty protections, is going to start getting him hurt if he doesn't stop it.
I think I know exactly where you're going with your review first. And folks, we will both have film for you this week. Coming up in the next couple of days, well, the Q&A tomorrow night, I think Danilo's going to get something done earlier in the week for you. We're trying to give you some shorter things to look at a little bit more often. I'll have film. I'll have by the numbers. If there's anything rumor wise, if it's worth it, I'll do it. If not, I try not to pepper you guys with that, because I know that's mostly for folks who don't already follow the channel.
It is trade season.
Yeah, it is. Like that deadline is coming down. That's why it needs to be addressed if it is out there. But one more super chat. Thanks, Nate Matthews. Appreciate it. Nebraska in the house. I appreciate that. I know Dan's there. Well, I have family not very far from Dan too. So yeah, for now, right? For now. So for all of you in KC and Mo up in Nebraska, I hope you guys had a good night. Dan, thanks. You did too. Appreciate you being on here. I know it's kind of late.
No worries. I'm always available at night. Always. Literally always.
I like that plan. To Aaron, to Jeff, to Danilo, for everybody who contributes to this channel, and to all of you, thank you for being here. Another 450 tonight. So I hope you guys all feel as good as we do, because we're feeling pretty good about it, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I just mentioned it. You guys know the schedule going forward. This is looking pretty good.
Yeah. I called it, in all seriousness, I called it 14-2 before the season. I was still concerned, and you never know. You could see it pop up a lot too. At a minimum, 12-2 if they had to skip a couple of games. But I'm feeling pretty good that may actually be the way that it can work out. We'll see. But for all of you who watched that game and enjoyed it, thank you. Tell the rest of Chiefs Kingdom about us. I appreciate it. Give some love to Aaron and Danilo and Jeff and us. We will be back for you tomorrow night with Q&A, film later in the week, and a ton coming at you. So have a great week. Enjoy Monday. Don't work too hard, and we'll talk to you next time.